let's talk about progress. Let's talk about EVs, because story out today that new EV sales have plummeted to their lowest level in 3 years. EV showrooms had a busy December followed by it says ghostly. I guess it does means not many people. I was thinking ghastly. But ghastly is an A, isn't it? It says ghostly.
Yeah, they've misspelled it. I bet they meant ghastly.
All right, ghastly January after the government killed the Clean Car Discount. Recently released sales data showed a crash in new EV sales at the start of the year. Used imports followed suit, according to information published by the Ministry of Transport. The nosedive followed a busy December when more than 4,500 drivers registered New Zealand new zero-emission vehicles during the final month of the discount's life, when a rebate of up to $7,000 was available. Just 352 people and businesses secured an EV in January, the lowest number of brand new and New Zealand new registrations since October 2020. Meanwhile, gas guzzlers experienced the opposite. Registrations of fossil fuel cars plummeted following the general election and then spiked in January when the Clean Car Discount set of fees no longer applied. Roughly 6,600 very high emitting vehicles producing more than 200 grams of CO2 per kilometre. Oh, not CO2, sorry, carbon dioxide. Is that CO2? Anyway, were registered last month, nearly double the typical number. And then I've got another one, but it's not scrolling for me, because the last thing I wanted to also mention was, I've lost my thing. There was a story, there's a part of this which I've lost the thing for, to do with people who have hybrids as well. Yep. So it's not going well for hybrid owners, and I thought what we'd just do is bring up another story about that, because some hybrid owners are now trying to actively remove their plugs to avoid road user charges.
Fucking thing.
But there's a guy here, right, who now gets 15 kilometres out of his 2013 Hyundai plug-in hybrid, and he's going to be paying double. Kevin Parker believes his 2013 plug-in hybrid Mitsubishi Outlander has halved in value since the road user charges announcement. He lives rurally. A lot of my journeys are fairly long, so for every kilometre past the end of my road, pretty much I'm going to be paying for road tax twice. He had planned to drive his car until it died, but he said vehicle now made no economic sense. He decided removing the plug, which he thought might cost around $1,000, and get the car recertified as the plugless hybrid vehicle. But looking up the process, he went to a vehicle certifier and told that it could not happen. So yeah, the government, who on one hand is talking about what they're doing to protect the environment, have cancelled the EV Clean Car Rebate, which was then paying for itself. I think November was the first month it paid for itself. So it was neutral, which means all it did was encourage people into EVs, and it was costing the country nothing. They pulled the plug on that, and high emission vehicles have spiked, which will mean things like utes and trucks and vans. And as you all know, only 10% of utes are actually registered for business. So 90% of people who own utes aren't farmers, aren't tradies. They're just people like me and you. So there you go. Chewy, this is your baby, the EV world.
This is my wheelhouse. Look, it makes a good headline. I think it's slightly misleading. Again, the mainstream media not digging in. A lot of dealers, especially for new vehicles, would have registered their stock first. So they would have registered them as demonstrators,
so
and then they'll sell them
technically secondhand. Technically
secondhand. They'll discount because they've claimed that $7,000, and they'll sell it in a demonstrator sale less than a truly new vehicle, because they had all that stock, and you might as well, right? I think the secondhand market is instantly going to dry up, because there was a huge amount of people bringing in secondhand Japanese Leafs that you can get for like less than $10,000 now. So I think the next couple of months, I think, will give us a clearer sign of how it's affected. What I think is the real telling bit is how poorly thought out the changes to the road user charges are. National painted themselves into a corner when they went on an anti-EV thing, and they were against the clean car discount and the ute tax and that sort of thing. They have put themselves in a position where they had to bring that out. They wanted to do it in the first 100 days, and they fucking have. They never looked at any of the unintended consequences. Simeon Brown has said that this is the first step in bringing in road user charges for all passenger vehicles. The sensible thing would have been to do the work. Leave EVs how they are, just extend it, knowing that you have a year to put together a new road user charge framework that would affect every passenger vehicle on the road. You remove fuel excess from petrol at the same time.
Yeah.
Then, like Simeon's been talking about fairness, that is a fair playing field. It does not matter if you have a full battery electric vehicle. It doesn't matter if you have a plug-in hybrid. It doesn't matter if you have a hybrid. It doesn't matter if you have a ute. It doesn't matter if you have a motorbike. Everybody is affected by that. You get a huge ping of public opinion because the price of petrol would go down. And it's overhauling a system that has been in desperate need of overhauling for decades. But National do short-term thinking. They don't look at these sort of things. So now they've pissed off these people. As far as the guy with the Outlander, it's the perfect example. Something like that with a small battery, like living rurally, makes no sense.
Yeah,
Like
but
those little.
But if he owned it from new, say, he didn't have many choices in 2013, really.
Yeah, and it's just a case of like when those plug-in hybrids, they're great in the city if you're driving something like an Outlander and you don't want to piss your money away on petrol.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're great. You get 40, 50 kilometers of battery usage. Like most people's average daily use is around that. You get home, you plug it into the charger. Cool. It costs you a couple of bucks. You know, your battery electric vehicles, I mean, mine as an example, it cost me $6 to fill. If I charge it at home, it cost me $12 on a charger, like on a paid charger, that sort of thing. In all of the EV groups that I'm in, everybody's like, of course we need to pay road user charges. We've had a good run, but this doesn't feel fair. And people have crunched the numbers, and the only winners here are people with small efficient diesels or very efficient petrol cars. If you have a battery electric vehicle like me, you're paying over the barrel, and if you have a plug-in hybrid like the guy in the story, you're getting fucked.
Yeah.
And that's because nobody's done the work, nobody's crunched the numbers, nobody's reached out to any of the advocate groups about this, nobody's been spoken to. They've just gone, oh, EV's bad.
Yeah,
it's a fair playing field, and it's not.
I was talking to my 17-year-old today, and I was reading the story, and we talked about it for a while, and I said to her something that, interestingly enough, I think is pretty accurate for this government. Two of the industries that are doing the best, or who are happiest, who are laughing the most and clapping the most at the moment, are the petroleum industry, because of the EV stuff, and the tobacco industry, because of the smoke-free stuff. So this government has in the grandstand that's watching this government, the ones that are hooping and hollering and cheering the most at the moment are the tobaccoists and the petroleum companies. And if you listen to Martin Bradbury, perhaps the mining groups are just getting ready to start clapping in a few minutes. So it's a pretty ugly thing to think that those are the groups that are the ones that are going to be happiest about this government. I think that puts it into clarity as to what these guys are all about.